Yes, people, welcome back to the 1894 for a Burnley versus City review. A 2-0 win in sunny Burnley for the Blues. The Premier League is back and we're back on top. Let's get into our thoughts. Right, Joe, it was a possibly nervy day for us with Liverpool playing at half-12 and getting themselves a 2-0 win over Watford. We went behind them in the Premier League. For the first time in 120 days, we were not top of the Premier League, but we had to go to Burnley. We had to go to Turf Moor, a place we have had good memories in recent years, and get the win. We have 8 games in the month of April. Possibly 9. Just want to throw it out there that if we do qualify for the Champions League semi-final, our first leg will be sandwiched in between Leeds and Watford. So we'll have 9 games in the month of April. This was the first today. A 2-0 win over Burnley was absolutely massive for building momentum going forward. There's obviously 4 massive games coming up now in the next sort of 10 days or so. 2 games against Atletico in the Champions League quarter-final and 2 games against Liverpool, won the league and won the FA Cup. But we had to get over the hurdle of Burnley first. There was no point thinking about those other big games without a win today, Joe.
No, and look, the team that he set out to do it with was quite clearly just there was a few players on the bench that were clearly just being rested for that sort of 10-11 day period, whatever it is, 2 weeks. And it was all about literally just getting the job done, getting the win. We knew that we were going to have most of the ball anyway, so we weren't going to be pressurised too much. And it was just about, no lapses in concentration, be professional throughout 90 minutes. And we did that. We got it done in the first half. Quite literally nothing happened in the second half, apart from Jesus hit the post and missed a sitter on the rebound. But the game was pretty much over at that point. I was puzzled as to why Cornet started on the bench for Burnley, but I'm happy because when he came on, he had an impact. They got forward a couple of times, although he was offside. But, he was fairly comfortable, really. There's nothing much to really talk about. I can't remember anything sticking out in my mind in the second half at all. It was just, past the time. Oh yeah, Ake had a goal line clearance. I think it was actually offside in the build-up, but shout out to Ake and his headband. He's pretty good at football.
He's a good player, Ake. I'll say hold tight, Nathan Ake. He was good today. We had our worries over injuries within the centre back position. I know Stone's on the bench today. Probably stayed on the bench, rightly so, as a precaution with the big fixtures coming up soon. And then, of course, Diaz, we're still waiting on a proper return from as well. But in terms of overall performance today, it was really good. I must say, we never really had to get in his top gear, but the performance was levels above what we'd seen in recent weeks. I think we really needed that international break. We really needed that international break to rejuvenate ourselves, maybe reset the mind a bit, refresh ourselves a bit and come back and say we weren't playing well. Yes, we were grinding out a couple of results, unfortunately against Palace and whatnot, but we were stuck in a rut, a consistent rut of not being able to hit the heights that we can hit, and we needed that little break just to, take a breather from the City Academy training ground and all that, go away, clear the mind and come back, and they looked a much more refreshed team today. The lads look fresh, they look hungry, the movement was fantastic. Everybody looks like they're back in business, back in flow. The only slight negative, I'd say, Joe, is that we didn't score more. I mean, there's now, I think, a 5 or 6 goal difference between ourselves and Liverpool. 5. It's 5. It is 5. And today would have been a fantastic opportunity just to close that gap a little bit. If we kicked on a little bit more, obviously you mentioned a miss from Jesus would have been, would have closed the gap to 4 goals. But listen, the main thing was we got 3 points. I think we said it in the preview, or else we didn't. But I would have taken a 1-0. I just want the 3 points are absolutely crucial in these games, Joe. What did you think of the overall performance? I thought there was a couple of standouts, but as a collective team, I thought it was quite good.
Yeah, a couple of standouts. No one was really poor throughout big periods. There was a couple of shaky moments from a couple of individuals for sort of maybe 5 minutes or so. But apart from that, it was very much a comfortable game. No pressure at all from Burnley. I think they realised once 2-0 at half-time that there was very slim chance of them coming back into the game. And, Jesus comes on, should have scored. Again, you look at this game and go, we don't really have too many more games where we can build up goal difference. You look at Watford and Leeds, them 2 back-to-back games being the only 2 really from now until the end of the season where we can maybe catch up on goal difference, which I don't think the league is going to be decided on goal difference, or at least I hope not. But, it's nice to have it just in case. But again, 3 points is 3 points. We go back into first place in the table, which, again, it was all that mattered. And I think I predicted a 1-0 because I just wanted the 3 points and we got it. And again, comfortable first half performance, much better. We haven't had a good overall performance in a while. And I think, we've had a number of players that didn't go away for international duty. I think that just, it helps just refresh. And it's good to see the performances coming up, especially considering I don't think Liverpool today, even though they did also win 2-0, I didn't think they were that great themselves, so it's encouraging to see.
Yeah, I was actually going to make that point as well, and I think you're dead right, which is that, I know, listen, it probably doesn't mean a huge amount going into a game against Liverpool. The game against Liverpool will have very much derby vibes, form goes out the window, and it's going to be a total hit out, but I do take a little bit of confidence from the fact that we performed better than Liverpool today. We did, and we got our goals, which is what we needed. I think certain players definitely benefited from the international break, whether they were away or whether they were in the city campus. Like De Bruyne didn't go away with Belgium. He looked much better today. He played a good game. But listen, we're going to get over to our player ratings now, because there is a couple of players I want to talk about in a bit more depth. I think the player rating section is possibly the best time to do it. So let's get over to our player ratings and see what we gave everybody. Okay, our player ratings are up on screen for you right now to see. Let us know your thoughts down below in the comments. Would you give anybody higher? Would you give anybody lower? What would you rate the boys out of 10? In goals, Ederson didn't have a huge amount to do, had one or two, saves to make when, like you mentioned earlier on, Burnley got forward maybe once or twice, and there was a scare here and there, but an 8 from him. His footwork was also great, and he nearly got an assist, really. He launched the ball forward that Cancelo got in the end of. Just unfortunate nothing came of it. Very good from Ederson, solid as always. Walker, I thought he was very good as well. Once again, didn't have a huge amount to do defensively, which he's probably happy enough to do, which gave him the license to go forward a lot more. And I thought he was quite good in the build-up play overall. His passing was composed, and he did what you want a fullback to do going forward. We don't need Walker to be trying to do things that Cancelo can do. We just need Walker to play his own game, and when he does play his own game, it usually goes well. We gave Laporte a 7, nothing major. I thought there was one or two little hiccups, no catastrophes now. They didn't result in anything, obviously, but one or two little hiccups. Gave a 7, and we gave Ake a 9. He was the best centre half. Arguably or probably was the best in the back four today, which is why we gave him the highest rating in the back four. He was massive today. He was really good, and he's showing why he is definitely of value to this team when other players are injured. Nearly got himself a goal at one stage, I believe, and he got that all-important goal line clearance. I know you said it was possibly offside, but in the moment he didn't know that, and he showed great instincts to get it. Cancelo, similar to Walker, very good going forward. Not a huge amount to do defensively. He got involved with all the build-up play, as he always does. He was good linking up with Grealish and Foden. Solid performance from him. Nothing standout, but did the job. We got the 3 points. He played his role. It was a good performance from the back four, Joe.
Yeah, again, simple for them, really. The only times they really had to do anything was if they made a small mistake, like giving the ball away. I think Ake in the first 5 minutes was, I was a little bit unsure. There was a couple of times where he just kind of hoofed it, and Burnley would go up and they'd try to build an attack themselves, which ended up in, I think, Weghorst taking a Van Persie-esque header from outside the box and trying to score from that. But that was like the only chance they had in the first half. He improved massively from there. Like you said, the goal line clearance, he's not to know it's offside. So again, good reactions, similar to Arsenal. He's basically saved us again there. And I think with Laporte, he was okay. His passing was good. I think it normally is quite good aerially as well. He's normally dominant, although I think Weghorst tried to target Ake because he's a bit shorter, but it was around the 60th minute where, there was a pass that he led that was quite short that led to Burnley getting the ball back, and, he could have given away a penalty. I didn't really see a replay, really, because, it's hard to watch the game when it's at 3 o'clock, so jury's out on that one. But again, no catastrophes. I thought Walker looked very composed today. Crucial in the first goal, the switch of play for the first goal in the first 5 minutes. I'm still disappointed that he's not available for that first Atletico Madrid game, but he does look a little bit more focused, and hopefully he can avoid another calamity.
Yeah, he's going to be absolutely huge for the remainder of the season. It is unfortunate he won't be available for that first game against Atletico. Moving into the midfield, this is where it gets interesting, and these are our players that I do want to talk about a bit more than we usually would, which is why we cut the first segment a bit shorter. Rodri was fantastic. We gave him an 8 today. I thought he did his job well. He broke up attacks where he could. He had a few shots on goal, very unlucky that one of them didn't go in, and his overall game was great. But the next player I want to talk about is Gundo. I was very close to giving Gundo man of the match for certain reasons. We gave him a 9. I think there's a certain element, basically the point I'm making is to having Gundogan on the pitch. I think not only is he a really composed, cool player that obviously is fantastic in build to play and has great technical ability, but something that it only really clicked to me today is he complements other players in the pitch really well, Gundogan. He brings out brilliant qualities and improves players around him, which maybe you don't get with Bernardo, because Bernardo is an individual excellent player, but it's a certain type of player can bring out a lot of better qualities than other players, and I think Gundo complements Rodri really well. I think they didn't used to complement each other well when they both played in that double pivot that we hated back in the day. But now that Gundogan's playing in front of him, they seem to work well together, and they bring great qualities out of each other. So from Gundogan, he adds something unique to the team, which is why he does get his selections over Bernardo on his day. And then De Bruyne, like I said, he looked refreshed, he looked rejuvenated. He needed that international break himself. He took a bit of a knock to the shoulder today, but I think he's all right. He didn't seem to be in too much pain. He looked really good. Scored a cracking goal in the first 5 minutes. The build-up play for that goal was fantastic, and it was a killer finish from Kevin De Bruyne, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, look, midfield, we absolutely controlled the game, so they want to have most of the ball in that area. And look, Gundogan, I've said this for a long time. I think he deserves a bit more love in this team this season, especially after what happened last season with how well he performed. And again, did he grab a goal? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did grab a goal. My mind went. But yeah, he grabbed the goal. Again, listen, that's what he does. He brings that threat in the box, that late arriving presence in the box for the cutback. And that's something that you could say we've missed at times this season. And look, I'm not a fan of a Gundogan De Bruyne midfield at all. I think it's slow, but it worked today because, again, Burnley didn't really pose too much of a threat in the midfield area, and Gundogan brings out the best in his teammates, which is why I think Bernardo excels when he's next to him, because he's got the license to use his energy and go forward. But I'm looking at De Bruyne now and going, hopefully, fingers crossed he can continue this. I know I've been on his case for a long, long time, and I think it has been slightly justified, to be fair, but it reminded me almost of Chelsea, that 1-0 at home where he goes and wins us the game and he performs really well. He didn't just swing crosses in today. He was much more focused on trying to get it closer to the box before working anything. And I hope he continues doing this. I said this after Chelsea and he didn't, but I hope now he realises that if he plays like this, he will have good performances. And I'm not going to get on his case. I'll criticise him when I think he does poor, but today he was very good.
These kind of games against the likes of Burnley, you kind of touched on it, suit Gundogan a lot. Teams that sit back. Leeds and Watford later on in the month, there'll be 2 games where I'd like to see Gundogan be involved. Because he's good at picking the locks, essentially. And these really compact defences, these low blocks, you need really technical players, with a killer pass vision to be there and available to help you break them down, essentially. But in regards to games like next weekend against Atletico, I would 100% would want Bernardo Silva on the pitch over Gundo, because Bernardo his energy is going to be vital, because Liverpool's midfield is particularly good. So I want Bernardo on the pitch for that one. Gundo and De Bruyne both got goals, both great finishes, but the build-up play was absolutely fantastic for those goals, and that is due to our man of the match, Raheem Sterling. I think he bagged himself 2 assists, wasn't it? He was absolutely fantastic today. We gave him a 9. I know I'm speaking about him before Grealish and Foden, but it's because he is essentially the link man today, wasn't he? The runs he was making in behind, Burnley really couldn't control. And I posted about it on Twitter. I said, right wing Sterling is a thing of beauty, because it is. Sterling, for some reason, is a completely different player in all 3 positions. On the left, yeah, he's good. He can be good in his day. In the middle, he's woeful. And on the right, he's actually fantastic. But obviously, we just don't see Sterling on the right all the time, because Mahrez is also a killer as well. But he was absolutely brilliant today, Sterling. They could not cope with his runs in behind. Unfortunately, De Bruyne, who was on form today, was able to thread balls beautifully through from Toronto. Fantastic stuff from Sterling. Our man of the match. I don't know who the broadcasters gave man of the match to, but we gave it to Sterling. Foden and Grealish, nothing special from either of them today. Nothing poor either. A 7 for both. I thought Grealish had a bit of a free roaming sort of role. He was kind of moving around the pitch. He's moving into midfield. He's moving into the centre. Getting involved in build-up play. You can't put too much pressure on Grealish to be getting involved in goal contributions or in goals and assists when he's playing that sort of role, because he's clearly told to drop deeper and move around. He's not being told to tuck up the pitch maybe the same way Sterling would. And in terms of Foden, similar to Grealish, moving around a lot, showed some good trickery. He's got, his passing was good, his movement was great as always. It's what you expect from Foden. A 7 based on his standards, I think, is a fair score for him today, Joe.
Yeah, I didn't really notice him too much going forward, albeit, again, we kind of had the game won in the first half, so in the second half, there wasn't really much to do. there were times when Foden and Grealish would switch and Foden would be out on the left, and you'd see a burst of energy from Foden. I would like to, at some point, see those roles reversed, almost like I think it was Watford away, where you had Grealish playing in the false nine, and he had a really good game there. Foden on the left, we all know he can perform at a very high level there. Right, last season, we've seen it this season. So I would like to see that maybe at some point in the future, but if it's not broke, you don't really have to fix it, really, do you? So I suppose, performances will come. Foden played through the middle when he came off the bench against Southampton before the international break, and he changed the game there. He was really good when he came on there. So kind of hit and miss from in the false nine. Not a problem that we're going to have to really worry about next season, or at least hopefully. But Sterling, man of the match. I love him on the left. I might be one of the only people who prefer him on the left. But on the right, he is a different player. He's more creative on the right. He gets to the byline when he's on the right. Loads of low crosses, cutbacks. He's a more team player, it seems, when he's on the right, which is natural because when he's on the left, he's going to want to cut in and use his right foot. So again, it's versatility. As long as he's not playing through the middle, I think he's more than likely going to have a good game at the moment.
I think Sterling is going to have a massive say in this in the climax of the season. I just have a feeling he's going to be absolutely huge. And you're right, he is a different player on the right. He has that killer instinct, and it's almost reminiscent of that Sterling, Sane, Aguero trio we had back in the day. Sane on the left, and he was a killer as well. And he had Sterling being really creative, getting in behind the defence and pulling balls back for Aguero to tap in. It was great. It was a great display from Sterling today. It was a great overall team performance. We needed a good performance today. I know I said we needed the 3 points primarily, and we did, absolutely. But a good performance was also something that was overdue, because the performances before the international break were subpar. They were below par. They weren't good enough. So to get back in that winning mentality after the Palace game, get back into good performances, breeding good performances, all the boxes were ticked for me today. I'm very happy with today's result. We hope you enjoyed this video as well. Leave all your thoughts down below in the comments on the performance, on our player ratings, and what you think about this massive 2 weeks we have ahead. Do us a massive favour, if you would, please leave a like on the video. It helps us so much. We've just passed 2.1k, I believe, so we're on the road to 2.5 at the minute. That's the next big goal. Help us out, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I'll see you very soon with some more content and a big 2 weeks ahead. Enjoy your weekend.